Today I'm going to show you a template for two epic pre-batched coffee Negronis, the first of which being a Tropical White Coffee Negroni, and the second a zero-waste strawberry top coffee Negroni. These drinks are essentially going to be a vessel to show you some amazing techniques. We're going to be cramming in a lot of good stuff today. So we're going to have a dry fruit infusion, we're going to have a zero-waste strawberry stem infusion, we're going to have a coffee Negroni template that can be applied to literally any flavour profile you like in the world. We're going to have a foam, and we're going to have a really cool zero-waste coffee infusion technique. We've got a lot to cover. You ready? Let's make some coffee cocktails. Welcome back to the Coffee Cocktail channel, everyone. I'm Dan Fellows, and if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, hopefully you're finding value in it. So give it a subscribe and we'll be going into a lot more detail about all these things in the future. But for now, we're making some coffee Negronis. So later on, I'll be talking about the template you can use to make these coffee Negronis, and you can use this to adapt to different flavors, different spirits, different liqueurs, pretty much any flavor combination you can think of in a Negroni, you can make with this template. So stick around for that. But in the meantime, we're going to start infusing some of our ingredients. So when I was thinking of flavors to include in our white Negroni and our more traditional red Negroni, and I'm going to keep them separate, so white Negroni stuff over here, red Negroni stuff over here, I wanted to think about delicious flavor profiles that were interesting, complex, and unique. So when it comes to the white Negroni, we're going for a sort of herbal, tropical kind of thing. So we're going to be including thyme and dried mango. So in here, I've got 3 grams of thyme. I'm going to whack this straight in my mixing glass. I've got 15 grams of dried mango. And what I'm going to do with this is infuse this delicious herbal tropical infusion with gin. So every good Negroni has a gin base. So I'm going with Avaldor Cornish gin, which is a gin I really like. Lots of body, lots of texture, and really stands up against those big tropical and herbal flavors. So to 3 grams of thyme, 15 grams of mango, I'm adding 150 grams of our gin. You can choose your favorite gin for this. Whichever you choose will probably work really well, but go with something with good body, good intensity. So what you want to do is leave this for about 48 hours until that mango flavor really infuses into the gin. Keep it covered, keep it at room temperature, and you'll be left with something absolutely delicious, which looks like this. So this is our mango thyme gin, and this is going to be the basis of our white Negroni. So I'm going to leave this here, and then we're going to start preparing our red Negroni. So I love Negronis, who doesn't? I love your kind of classic gin, vermouth, Campari, banging. But what I wanted to do is add some complexity to this and also include some sort of zero waste techniques. So what I've got is strawberries, and later on we're going to be adding some flavor of coconut, which I'll talk about later on in the video. So again, stick around. The strawberries themselves are actually going to be used in a future video, but what I'm going to be using is the tops. So none of this will go to waste. So let's get chopping. So first things first, you want to wash your strawberries to make sure they're really nice and clean. And then we're just going to get to chopping off these tops. And we're going to add 50 grams of our strawberry tops to 2 different vessels, keeping the strawberries themselves, which we're going to put in the freezer for later. So in each of our mixing glasses, it's going to be a 1:3 ratio. And you can mix this up. You can put your own preferred fruits in there, your preferred flavor profiles, your preferred spirits, liqueurs, whatever. But we're going to be infusing both the sweet vermouth and the Campari. So sweet vermouth has the kind of herbal notes, which are obviously synonymous with a Negroni. The Campari, again, bittersweet, really delicious. But something that bridges those two together really well is strawberry, as you might imagine. And strawberry season is just kind of finishing up now. So I wanted to really make the most of this and then keep the rest of the strawberries for later for something I'm also very excited to share with you. So I'm going to keep going with these. Fast forward, be right back. So now we've got 50 grams of strawberry tops in each of our vessels. We're going to start infusing. So for this, we're going to need Campari and sweet vermouth. Pretty standard. And I'm double infusing here because I really want to get that strawberry flavor through. So first of all, I'm going to go with our sweet vermouth. Cocchi Storico di Torino. Delicious sweet vermouth, and we're getting 150 grams to meet that 1:3 ratio. And then the same with the Campari. And these want to be infused for probably, again, 48 hours or so, until the strawberries really lose their mojo and kind of turn white, looking really sad and soft, but not beyond deliciousness. So 48 hours is probably fine. Probably keep these in the fridge. Keep your vermouth in the fridge if you don't already. And when you've infused these for that time, you want to pass them through a filter or a very fine sieve, and you'll be left with these bad boys. So looking at them, they look pretty much exactly the same. A lot of red. The vermouth, the Campari, you can just smell the strawberry on them, that kind of really fresh summery thing going on. And these are going to be the basis of our red strawberry top Negroni. I'm going to put the strawberries themselves in the freezer for a future video, and I'll be right back to start making our coffee Negronis. All right, now we've got these, we're ready to start making some coffee Negronis. So it's going to be a bit of a battle. White Negroni over here, classic Negroni over here. So we've got our thyme and mango gin already prepared. This is going to move over here to the red side, where we have our strawberry top Campari and strawberry top sweet vermouth. So to pair with the mango and thyme gin over here, we're going to need a few things. The first of which being Sousa, and the second being a dry or white vermouth. So Sousa is our replacement for Campari in this drink. Again, it's a gentian root liqueur, really kind of bittersweet, lots of complex herbals going on. And then we have the Cocky Americano, which again, a dry vermouth, lots of kind of complex herbals, some sweetness in there, but just not as much as our red counterpart. So these are the foundations of the drink. The gin has come over here. So we've got our classic Negroni, and we're going to need a few things to really pump this up. So both drinks are going to contain saline solution, OBS. I always use saline solution pretty much. And then we're going to actually add some acids. So I've got two different acid blends here. So in the red corner, we've got a blend of 2 grams of citric acid, 2 grams of malic acid, and 2 grams of lactic acid, which gives that kind of really full-bodied acidity, some kind of creaminess, some crispness from the malic, and then the classic citric sort of tang. And then over here we just got straight citric, so 6 grams of citric acid, both of which have 100 grams of water added to them. Stir them up, pop them in the vessels, and then we're ready to go. So let's get building. Both of these drinks actually have the exact same template, so I can build them concurrently at the same time. I'm going to grab my mixing glasses over here. First of all, we want to add 150 grams of our base spirit. So in the white Negroni, we have our thyme and mango infused gin. And then in our red corner, we have the straight gin. So I can add 150 grams over here. This is obviously the base of the drink. You can use different spirits here. You could use bourbon to make a boulevardier. You could use vodka. You can use rum. Pretty much every spirit works well in a Negroni, to be fair. So whatever your base spirit is, 150 grams. This is obviously going to be making a big batch. You can scale it up or down. Next up, we want our kind of bitter element. So in the white corner, we have our Sousa. So pop this on top of your spirit. There aren't many substitutes for Sousa, to be honest. So I would recommend it here, although you could infuse it just like you did over here with our strawberries or all sorts of dried fruits, whatever you fancy. And then in the red corner, we've got our strawberry top Campari, which I'm going to whack straight in there. And then the third kind of core part of the drink is going to be our vermouth. So the white Negroni has our Cocky Americano, which goes in there with the Sousa and the rosemary and thyme gin. And then the strawberry top has our strawberry top sweet vermouth. And that's kind of the core of the drink. And now we can start kind of seasoning, adjusting, just making sure the balance of the drinks is where you want it to be, taking into consideration the fact that strawberries are sweet, mango's sweet. You can really adjust this using the ingredients you've added to make it a really delicious drink at the end. So first of all, you want your acid, like I say, 6% acid, and I'd add between 50 to 75 grams to this batch size. So taking into consideration, I'm going to be topping this at the end with something sparkling. I'm going to go with the full 75 grams. But if I were just drinking this straight, I'd probably drop down to 50 because you don't want it to be a sharp, tart kind of sour drink. You want it to be well balanced. And then in our strawberry top Negroni over here, I'm going to go with the full 75 grams again because I'm going to be adding a foam to this, which has an element of sweetness. So This goes in. Again, if you're just sipping this, I'd probably just drop it down to 50 or even less. And then finally, my old pal, saline solution, 1 to 5 salt to water. You want to go 5.2 grams to each batch. So the really nice thing about making a really big batch like this is you can portion it up in advance, you can keep it in the fridge. You could even pre-dilute if you weren't serving over ice. You can probably make a Negroni in about 30 seconds with this method. So that's the kind of cocktail element of this. Now we're going to add the coffee to this in a very interesting and zero waste way. So I'm going to have a little clear up and I'll be back just about now with my coffee leftovers from today. So today I had a V60 and I had a Clever Dripper, both of which were very delicious, both of which left me with spent grounds, and I did not throw these in the bin. So you may have seen this in a previous video where I used this to kind of infuse coffee but also clarify a milk punch. This is a really useful technique. It's not the first time I've used it, but that's because I use it all the time. So it's really, really simple. I'd recommend having a spoon to hand here. You just want to pour the cocktail through the bed of coffee, taking into consideration that this will add the more kind of bitter end of the coffee, the kind of bittersweet elements. You won't really get the acidity of freshly brewed coffee, but it does give a really clear coffee flavour to the drink. And we're going to do the same on the other side into a Clever Dripper. Doesn't really matter what brew method you use, as long as the cocktail passes through the bed of coffee. So in case you're wondering, both of these cups of coffee were made with 18 grams of coffee. I've added 300 grams of water, and that ratio just seems to work really well with this amount of cocktail. So I'm going to bosh in just about all of this. It should fit. Just pass this into the same vessel, because Clever Drippers are very handy. And then you just want to leave these to pour completely through, topping up your V60 as you do. And it'll probably take about 5-6 minutes. So I'm going to let that happen and I'll be back again in a second. All right, so these have now fully strained through the coffee, taken on all that lovely coffee flavour. I've bottled them and we're left with these. So in my right, we have the Tropical White Coffee Negroni, and in my left, your right, we've got the Strawberry Top Coffee Negroni. So this has made almost half a litre of booze. Delicious cocktail ready to drink. Just pour it straight over clear ice, cubed ice, whatever, and you've got delicious drinks. But I'm just going to kind of finish them off nicely to add a little final touch. So just to remind you of the template, you want to add 150 grams of your spirit. So over here we had the thyme mango gin, and over here we had straight gin. You want to add 150 grams of your bittering element. So we had Suza and we had Campari. 150 grams of vermouth, so dry vermouth, sweet vermouth. Between 50 and 75 grams of your acid, which is a 6% acid solution. You can use different acids to get different kind of mouthfeels. And then we want to add 5.2 grams of a 1 to 5 saline solution. All of that then gets passed through a bed of coffee and you're left with these. So to finish off my Tropical White Coffee Negroni, I'm just going to get my frozen glass. And this is just going to be really simple. You want to go about half and half, or 1 part cocktail to 2 parts mixer. So pour that straight in there. You can use all sorts of different mixes based on the flavour profile of the drink. You could use something like tonic for this, which would work really well, but I'm going for this roasted pineapple soda. So this was part of the reason I used the acid in there at the higher kind of proportion, because we've got that element of sweetness in the soda. I didn't want to lose the kind of balance of the drink. So I want to add a little thyme sprig, grab a straw, give it a little mix, and there we have the Tropical White Coffee Negroni. Super fresh, really kind of complex and herbal. The thyme really comes through, which is really nice. Mango and pineapple, absolute winner. But you can drink this on its own, super, super delicious as it is, but this is a really nice little top off. So cheers. And then on the red side of things, another frozen glass. I'm gonna pour in almost at the top with our Strawberry Top Coffee Negroni. And then I'm gonna finish this off with a really delicious coconut vanilla foam. So this is a gelatin-based foam, I'm not going to go too far into the kind of ins and outs of foams because that warrants a full episode, which I will do in the future. But essentially this has been made by hydrating 3 sheets of gelatin, adding this to a small pan with 270 grams of coconut milk and 30 grams of Monin vanilla syrup. Again, you can use any kind of syrup in here as long as it's around about a 2-to-1 ratio. I've warmed this in a pan and then given it a really good whisk to make sure that gelatin's fully melted into the liquid. Charged it to 2 NO2 canisters and given it a really good shake, and then left this for 24 hours in the fridge. And there we have our zero waste strawberry topped coffee Negroni with a coconut and vanilla foam. Foam moustache. That's so tasty. It all ties in really nicely. The foam is kind of refreshing. Then you get the really rich intensity from the Negroni. You got coffee flavor coming through. They're completely different to each other, even though they've got the same template of ingredients. I think I've got foam in my moustache. So there we have it. 2 completely different drinks, both using the same template, but couldn't be more different. Completely worlds apart when it comes to Negronis. So I know that was a lot of information. I hope you found value in this episode. A huge amount of work went into it, so I hope you found value. If you have, you can subscribe along here and make sure you check out more videos on the channel, which I'll link here and here. So stay tuned, stay subscribed. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon.